Okay, so a few articles all dealing with teacher shortage and salary, come through my box, more so this weekend. And although I agree with the statement that there is a teacher shortage, right, and teachers are underpaid, 100% agree with that. I just don't think that they are going to solve the ultimate problem or the right problem. Investing in education and in teachers is not the same thing as just throwing money at salary to end, shortages and never address the problem. You have to fix the problem. Of course, if you take money and just throw it at the educational system, you're going to see immediate results somewhere, right? But I don't think you're addressing the right problem. I just don't think you can solve problems by using the same sort of thinking that got you there in the first place. And what are we trying to solve? It's not a single problem with an obvious solution. It's more transformational thinking needed, and you need to be more agile with, changing different outcomes. I think you need to give their teachers their classrooms back. That's what they want. I think you can't do that with constantly driving different statewide testing and results. I think teachers have never been about money. They've always been, underpaid, undervalued. I 100% agree. But more cash without the freedom of their classroom isn't going to drive teachers back long term. It may short term, but remember, we're going to probably find ourselves right back in that same situation. Therefore, I think the messaging we tend to argue about is, the salary to get them back. They feel the problem is solving the shortage. That is not what I think the overall major problem is, right? I think more investment into education, giving classrooms back to teachers, not have them pushed into one way of thinking, or teaching or value. That's more about that. And that, requires a different solution. And I think when you do that, teacher shortages really isn't going to be that topic. Sure, salary is always going to be a problem, and it needs to continue to be, talked about because they are underpaid. But I don't think, that being driven by a mindset of paying you more to just do what I think or drive my agenda. I don't think that's what teachers are about long term. I completely understand and aware that, I'm going to get responses saying I don't know shit, right? Because I'm not a teacher or I'm not a politician or things. And that's fair. I'm not immune to that now, right? When I talk about coaching or football and I get involved, even today, people come to me, slam, 30 years of a X's and O playbook in my face or on my lap and say, you don't know shit, go away. Fine. But my response is always, the same. My focus and involvement or responses to things is not about fixing X's and O's in football, right? If that's a problem, you're right. I don't belong there. But in fact, if I get involved in a situation or something, because there is a larger problem, right? I need people that have the experience of 30 years of coaching and stuff, on your team, right? That's just different experience. I would never go a lineman coach and say, oh, you need to do that. No. But, if you have a larger issue of, we are extremely slow on Fridays and we need to be much faster. Well, there's different strategies and different mindsets that somebody with a different perspective can have. Or if you need to change culture, that's where I tend to get involved. And because I think that is a problem I know and I'm experienced with facing, right? I don't think this teacher shortage is only about salary. And I don't think that that's just needs to be where the topic, ends. Again, I think I'm going to I'll get blowback. But I know people who, believe strongly in statewide testing and regulations, they're not going to like what I have to say. Just like the X and O coaches and stuff tend to blow me up when, I talk and I get involved on in coaching or conversations. But remember, that's not where I'm involving myself. Just like on the pay issue in the education system and the shortages, I'm not telling teachers what they need to do. I'm not telling politicians what they need to do. I just think that you're trying to fix the wrong problem. And if you're not careful, you're going to be sucked into, okay, we're going to give you more money, but now you got to ride with our agenda of this, and this. And I don't think that is going to completely resonate with teachers. I think they need that freedom and their classroom back. I think that's what drives them. And yes, more pay is warranted. It's always going to be a topic of discussion. And, they're undervalued. 100% agree. That's why I think you're tackling the wrong problem here. I think you need to, I think the discussion needs to be bigger. I think, I don't know, you have to look for, a uniqueness and thought and individuality when you're talking through these kinds of things. And, but simply throwing a high salary to follow along, may work for now, but it's going to get you here again. You're trying to solve the wrong problem. And I just like, I would give that example for a lot of people. If you're a fireman, firemen do things, not because of a paycheck, right? You go in a burning building and you help people, right? It's not going to, if you have a shortage there and you say, okay, well, I'm going to pay a fireman more. Okay, that's not necessarily going to address that problem, right? Because that would come with, well, I'm going to pay you more, but you have to put out this fire within this time, no matter what size the fire is, and you have to do it in this manner, right? Because there is no one approach to teaching, to those kinds of services, to football, to coaching, and to getting involved. And I think until we start looking at things in a larger light, we're going to continue to try to solve the wrong problem. And we're going to continue to find ourselves in the same situations over and over. So again, I expect blowback. I'm not immune to it. I hear it every day. That's why, there's certain teachers that like me. There's certain, administrators that like me. There's certain coaches that like me. And then there's certain people that don't. But just understand where my thoughts are coming from. And I'm just trying to be honest and share what I, firmly believe in. I welcome your feedback, but I think that the discussion needs to be a much wider discussion. So thanks for your time.